And joining me in studio is Honorable Peter Kenneth, independent Nairobi governor candidate. He prefers to be called PK.
Yes.
Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you very much.
The main question is, isn't it a bit convenient that you decide to run as independent only after losing under the Jubilee party?
First, I didn't lose, and I wrote all these points. And I made it absolutely clear that the whole process was a sham. You allow open IDs to come and vote. People are transported from everywhere. At 1 o'clock, you change the rules. You say party registers to be used. And I listed all this, that the process was a sham. So the election was stolen.
But the dispute tribunal did not find reason to cancel it like
They did not even have the courtesy to acknowledge my protest on election date.
But maybe that's because you were crying wolf. It wasn't exactly a sham, as you say.
I wasn't crying wolf. If you look at the registers, the full scalps, people voted between 30 and 40, up to 51 times the highest. It was actually circular voting. But that is now water under the bridge. So I have no issue with it. I wish whoever was acclaimed well. Now that is water under the bridge. So we are in the contest as an independent candidate.
But you only chose to go independent after having lost.
I thought far and wide.
Yeah.
I consulted far and wide. We feel we had the genuine Jubilee members who voted for us, because when we do the arithmetic of the circular voting, we won this election. But that's not what happened. And when I consulted, I felt we still had fire and to deliver Nairobi from what it's going through. And that's what we did.
Isn't it ironical, though, that you'd support the president of a party that you actually ditched, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, and he's the party leader of Jubilee? So is this an issue of politics, or is it ideology, or is it sycophants and allegiances?
It is not an issue of politics. I had made up my position very clear last year. I had made it very clear. As far as I'm concerned, and going through what I saw that happened on election day, there is a cartel that rigged many people out. There was a cartel out for me. I wish them well. And I absolved the president from it even when I complained.
So you think the president is not involved, however, it's the cartels you say are under the party that he leads?
I have no iota of evidence he was involved. Those who are involved, who are playing 2022 politics, we wish them well.
Who are these cartels you're talking about? Because if you're sure the president is not involved, it means you know the
we now know what transpired. We now know how the circular voting took place. We now know who was calling shots.
Who was calling shots?
But as I said, that is water under the bridge.
Enlighten us, who was calling the shots?
I do not want to discuss Jubilee politics. I think I made up my mind which party I'm running with. I've said who I'm supporting for presidency. So that is now water under the bridge.
Are you depending on certain ethnic blocks to give you support?
No,
because
not
then
really.
Many people are saying you're only supporting the president because you believe he comes from a certain region which will catapult you to the governorship.
Not really. Look, I will have a running mate from Western Province, so I'm looking at another region, right? I was chairman of football. I presided over a wide range of communities. Nairobi is a cosmopolitan city with very many communities suffering from lack of services that have not been delivered by the current regime. Communities that have no hope that certain candidates running for governorship will deliver those services. I am appealing as a Nairobian to Nairobians what we can do to make our Nairobi better. So I'm not looking at a community. I am looking at improving services so that the business community can do better. Those who live in Nairobi can live better. The informal sector can enjoy being in Nairobi. I want to appeal to everybody across the board. I am not relying on a community block.
So what makes you think you're going to win the elections, having lost to Sonko in the nomination?
As I said, I didn't lose. The election was stolen. I wish I had the letter that I wrote that can actually give...
We saw your response saying that the elections were stolen.
I'm saying I wish I had the letter.
I'm saying
I wish I had the letter that detailed the way it was done. Then you would see what I'm trying to tell you. And of course, I'm grateful for the votes I got because these were genuine people who came out genuinely. In the main election, people from opposition who voted will now not vote again. There will be no circular voting. It will be issues, and we are going to present what we want to do for the people of Nairobi. That is what will count in the battle for Nairobi. I can tell you, Trevor, in the last 3 weeks, I have consulted very, very many groups. Disappointed with the choices that they were left to choose from. Very disappointed. And we spoke, and they encouraged me and said, look, you have to come back.
Okay. On Twitter, he calls himself Sauti ya Mwananchi. Says PK is the most confused aspirant in this race. He gives his party to Jubilee, loses nominations, and contests as an independent.
I don't think there is any confusion. I joined Jubilee willingly and genuinely. I thought I was coming to help from within. It didn't happen. I'm out there as an independent. The issue of confusion can only now be ended on the 8th of August, when we go to elections, because we are offering what we think will help the city of Nairobi.
And also Fundi Wamaji says, why does PK think he can win from the incumbent? Are his plans for Nairobi realistic?
Of course, you cannot tell me that the incumbent who is running a city full of garbage, he can't collect garbage, the easiest thing to deal with. He cannot. That you want Nairobi really to go through another 5 years of Kidero?
How do you intend to handle the garbage situation? The president himself...
Let me just finish for you. This city will sink. You know, let me tell you, you cannot have multiple failures for 4.5 years and tell me that the same guy can continue for another 5 years.
Okay, he's not here to defend himself, but he wants to know how realistic your approach will be, because how will you handle the garbage collection issue if the president himself signed a deal in 2013 with a German firm to make sure waste is turned into energy? That didn't work out.
I'm not talking about turning garbage into energy. I am talking about collection of garbage on our roads, in our estates, on our streets.
And where will this be dumped if you don't intend to recycle?
There are many, you don't have to recycle. You could start with a landfill. There are many places. The council had bought land for cemetery, which was not used, which can be used for landfill. And I've said in my own plans, we will clear the city of garbage in 90 days. Okay. 90 days, we will clear. You will not see garbage. You just go behind your old Nation House, that lane between Moi Avenue and Tomboya. Garbage is piling there. You can't surely, the current governor surely can't send trucks to collect.
And Kagim
what are we
here,
saying?
Before you take a short break, Honorable, yes. Kagim here says, I used to support Peter Kenneth until when he believed he can only be successful if he dances to ethnic tunes.
I am not dancing to any ethnic tune.
But this has come up several times.
I am not dancing to any ethnic tune. I have said I'm seeking votes across the board, across all reasonable Nairobians who would like to see their city better. As an independent, I'm not dancing to any ethnic community.
All right, thanks for staying with the NTV Weekend Edition. Honorable Peter Kenneth is still with me. He's an independent Nairobi governor candidate. You are highlighting your vision for Nairobi. But also there's a question here from Nahashan who says PK was a project, and that's how projects usually end. Is he really a nationalist? Independents don't align themselves to others. And you also wanted to respond to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka.
I think I attended their meeting yesterday at Kasarani. And from what I see, there were those who never participated in any primaries who were there, and there are those who felt they were rigged out. For some of us whose election was stolen, we saw it all. From what I saw, and I said yesterday, if political parties do not handle their primaries well, in future, you'll have no person wanting to go for those primaries. People will decide there's no need of wasting time, there's no need of wasting money, and just join other small parties or just go as independents. When I see some of the leaders saying what they are saying, and I saw what I saw yesterday, I would like to say this first. Yes, they can have interest in parliament and they can have interest in Senate because of numbers of the political parties. But at devolved level, you have to allow the game to flow because that is a will, that is a wish.
Okay.
Yes.
What is your main agenda for Nairobi? What do you think are the biggest issues?
I am a Nairobian.
Yes.
Just like you and many here who suffer pain every day.
Okay.
If you go to the mamambogas and go to the hawkers, they pay lots of levies. No service is delivered to them. Even the garbage that they derive is not collected, yet they pay for it. I would love to see Nairobi having its garbage collected timely so that we can live in a better environment. Two, and which is very, very dear to me and dear to many people in Nairobi, if you look at our parents who have kids in school and workers, they have to wake up very early because of the traffic jams in the city. And I said this when I spoke on Friday, within 18 months, I'll have eased traffic jams in the city.
How?
There are 16 roundabouts that really clog the city. There is one crossroad. I will actually have underpasses or overpasses in those 16, and I will ensure there is flow. Eventually, within 3 years, I would like to introduce to the city a light rail system so that it can bring workers to town and take them out. Because even if you clear the roundabouts, people will still buy more cars, so you have more traffic. But I will ease it. I would like to see our kids sleep a little longer, our workers, our parents. The main thing I really want to do, I want to devolve more services from the city hall. I would like to see devolved function at every constituency where you have revenue collection, you have planning officers, you have garbage vehicles in that devolved level at constituency, you have fire engines, right? You have ambulances, you have everything. And I would love to see a modern market for every constituency. Because you see, we have a lot of informal traders, and you want to take them to areas where they are comfortable and it is decent because they pay for it. The people who toil every day in Nairobi pay for it. So devolution, further devolution is very key. I also said I want to deal with the water cartels because I served as a member of parliament for Gatanga. I know how much water comes from Dakaine.
Do you know who they are, the water cartels?
You know, when you see all these trucks, you know that water has been blocked somewhere, I grew up in the estates. In those days, the estates were the slums. Bahati was a slum. You didn't have this informal settlement. We got free water. I would love to give the informal settlements free water to reduce City Hall's bill on healthcare. 30 to 40% of the bills in the local healthcare system, which has also failed, actually are waterborne diseases. So if we can be able to provide water, and I would like to do this in 1 year, clear the cartels, have water running in the pipes, and then you know you have water.
But you do know they have a mechanism of fighting back. For example, they have court orders and court injunctions. And also, all the issues that you outlined for Nairobi, more than half of the budget of the county is spent on recurrent expenditure. Where will you get this extra money?
Trevor, let me tell you, it's not lost on DAS recurrent, it's lost on corruption. I bring integrity and passion into this race. Clear integrity and passion to be able to fight. I have nothing to cover for anybody. Everybody talks about cartels. I'm ready to deal with them. I have nothing to hold back on. And I can tell you on water.
Yeah.
If you just clear the distribution and where water is blocked, you actually have enough water for 80%. It does not make sense, Trevor, for a lady in Kibera to earn 400 shillings a day and spend 100 shillings buying water. It's not right, it's not fair.
Okay.
Yes.
And also somebody asked here that why did you decide to go for governor instead of president? You've run as an independent candidate before.
I think the race for presidency cut itself well above before our time. I mean, before this election. And therefore, it was not going to change. And I said I would like to serve where else my passion would be best served. And it's here where I'm a Nairobian, and I see what other Nairobians go through. Now, you asked me what else, and you know, I had done water. Healthcare system, which used to work, has completely failed. And that's why you find the bigger hospitals getting clogged up because the small dispensaries and health centers are not functional. I was with a city council doctor who says the provision for medicine lasts 3 days in a year. You know, that the medicine is brought in, lasts 3 days and it's finished. Now for the rest of the year, there is no budget for it. What we need to do is to cut down on expenses, to save a little money for development. Secondly, is to make the city an conducive to business environment to allow more businesses to come in. Remember, when I devolve, I'll create employment, but that's only a small thing. The big game in this is to make the city friendly to business. Then you'll have more businesses coming and you'll have more employment created, because we need it. And when you create more employment and you have more businesses coming, it means more revenue. So it's how you spend that revenue that is important.
Okay. And you also mentioned how to deal with the traffic, and somebody else is asking how are you going to handle it. You mentioned you're going to handle that in what, 18 months?
Yes, in 18 months.
But building the overpass and underpasses will take longer than that.
No, it can't. You know, you're only doing it at the roundabouts, right? So if you take the 6 roundabouts at Uhuru Park, you have 6 lanes. You can actually afford to take 4 lanes under the roundabout, so that whoever is going on that road goes straight. And of course, these barriers of sheet metal, which has been put at the center, needs to go on the side. I just don't understand this current regime of this government in Nairobi. You put them on the side so that the road furniture is entirely for vehicles. And you create nice footpaths outside those sheet metals for people to walk.
Okay. And
because
also,
right now, it endangers both the motorist and the pedestrian. Yes.
So what happens if you lose again? What next for Peter Kenneth?
Let me put it this way.
Because there's also some people who've said you're coming in as a spoiler effect.
Spoiling for who? Can you spoil for failures? Trevor, Kidero has failed. I'm not spoiling for him, right? Sonko was a senator who was supposed to provide oversight. I'm not spoiling for him. He's had to look for a cover-up in way of a deputy governor running it to cover for his failures. Can you imagine?
And what about for Sonko,
All right.
who you used to be within the same
No, I'm just
party?
saying he has had to bring a cover-up to cover for him. You cannot spoil for failures.
So you think he's a failure as well?
No, I'm saying you cannot cover for failure. But what are we spoiling for? You tell me. That's why I said you cannot spoil for people who have failed to deliver services. One failed as a governor, one failed in oversight. And that is the truth. And I was here a few months ago. I said, this current regime is a total failure. And I was asked the rating, I said 2 out of 10. I was asked, what about if so-and-so came in? And I said, it would be a disaster.
Okay.
Because what we are looking for, you are looking for a manager with a track record, a manager who can come, implement a vision, because what the city needs is a vision, and see that vision through.
And speaking of vision, someone is asking, how will you deal with the hawkers and street children?
You know, everything has to be dealt with. Street children require rehabilitation. Hawkers, there is really nothing you can do right now until you sit with them and you have these markets that I have brought through a devolution. Remember, they are just Nairobians like you and me. They toil on the streets. They've been badly mistreated. They pay for their services. They are harassed by guys who have cars which have protectives. Right? They should, yes, they should be treated with decency, right? They should be treated with decency. Let's not rush into things. I read some statement that my friend Odhiambo Kidero was doing, that he has said if you are going to the market, you'll no longer pay car park, but he knows after election that's the revenue that he has been misusing, and you'll reinstate it. It has to be plans that can be implemented, not from a political point, but from a planning point.
All right.
And that's what I want to bring to the city of Nairobi. Proper planning and proper management.
Okay.
Yeah.
In one sentence, you haven't told me what would happen if you lose again. What next?
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
One of the most famous presidents in the United States was Abraham Lincoln. He lost 2-3 elections, but he still came up as the best president, and that's why he's remembered. So remember, our own president has lost 2 elections.
Okay.
The person opposing him has lost 3 elections, right?
Okay.
I'm only going for my 2nd elections.
So even
as
if you
I
lose, you're
told
coming
you,
back again.
as I told you,
Yeah.
I want Nairobians, of whom I am part of, to actually judge us, put us on the weighing machine, look at issues of integrity, look at issues of passion. And if they make the right choices, and I hope and pray they will, I will be the next governor of Nairobi.
All right.
And in 4 or 5 years, I would like you to replay this clip, and you will see that the things I said I will do, I'll have done.
And we will do that.
Yes.
Thanks for making time.
Thank you very much.
That's Honorable Peter Kenneth
Thank you.
speaking to us, independent Nairobi governor candidate. He likes to be called PK, so that's what I'll call him. Thanks for making time.